Nairobi, Kenya's capital, was in sunny mood for the visit of Princess Elizabeth and the Duke of Edinburgh.
Britain and Kenya have historical ties, but the world is changing. America, Russia and China all reportedly want more influence in the African region, once part of the British Empire. Perhaps unsurprisingly, trade, culture and King Charles's favourite, sustainability, are high on the agenda for this week's state visit. The King and Queen have been invited by President Ruto as Kenya prepares to celebrate 60 years of independence from Britain. A convenient excuse for the Foreign Office to turn on the royal charm offensive to strengthen ties with its strategic ally. Professor Chris Imafidon was invited to Buckingham Palace last week for a reception celebrating Kenyan diaspora in the UK.
The people came together to realise that not only does the destiny of the UK lies with the Kenyan youth that will provide the energy, the enthusiasm and their love for digital world, but this is more important, the safari has to be preserved for the next generation. And the king is always going on about this ecological preservation.
It was at Kenya's Treetop Safari Lodge in 1952 when King Charles's mother arrived as a princess and departed as queen. But the 1950s had a darker side too. The Mau Mau uprising opposed British rule and white farmers were targeted in violent attacks. In response, an estimated 90,000 Kenyans were executed, tortured or injured by British rulers, according to the Kenyan Human Rights Commission. Campaigners want the king to publicly apologise.
After the apologies, we also expect a reparation.
But a decade ago, the British government did pay out nearly £20 million to Kenyans for human rights abuses. And the king is expected to acknowledge what's been described by his deputy private secretary as the more painful aspects of the UK and Kenya's shared history. But there are fears this could open a can of worms.
Apologies are not appropriate at this point in time, and I think the King is fully aware of that. He, of course, has expressed regret in the past, in Barbados and in Canada for Britain's colonial past, and I see no problem with him continuing to do that. But apologies are a different issue because they do open the doors for reparations.
Palace and government aides will be determined not to have a repeat of Prince William and Princess Catherine's trip to the Caribbean, which was partly overshadowed with calls for reparations and a formal apology for historical slavery. Their focus is on King Charles's visits to a Commonwealth country, his first as monarch and as head of a family of nations. Cameron Walker, GB News.